Welcome to my car, everybody, on this Mail It In Friday version of In the Car with Star, a proud presentation of Ash Gregoire, Chambly Nissan, Quebec's #1 rated Nissan dealership. They're open on Saturdays and their schedule always flexible. The Joya family has been an authority in the automotive space, certainly in Laval, for beyond 2+ decades now. They are a trusted name, someone that I'm very comfortable recommending for your next major purchase. They have cars on the lot. They have over 1,000 in their inventory. Nobody will give you a better deal on your next dream Nissan than Ash Gregoire, Chambly Nissan. And of course, as I mentioned already, open on Saturday, so a very flexible schedule. You can find them online at chamblynissan.com, Quebec's #1 rated Nissan dealership and a proud sponsor of In the Car with Star, as well as Axon and AxonGroup.com. They are Canada's largest intermodal transportation service. So whether you're shipping cross-border or domestically here in this great country of ours, Axon has the knowledge and the assets to get your freight to its destination the best way possible, on budget, and importantly, on time. Check out AxonGroup.com. Give them a call, 888-99-AXON. Again, AxonGroup.com. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. I'm Sean Starr. Together we are In the Car with Star in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens getting smoked by the National Hockey League, losing 6-2 to the visiting Florida Panthers last night in a game that featured a combined 90 penalty minutes, 9-0, in which this game completely got away from the officiating, completely got away from the war room, and completely disintegrated to the point where the Montreal Canadiens got burned 4 times on the power play in the game's second period. And for me, it's undeniable at this point. I want you all to go see this if you haven't seen it already. Let's take you into the second period where Matthew Tkachuk gets involved with contact with Habs goaltender Sam Montembeault, who, by the way, was starting his 6th consecutive game for Montreal. I would imagine he's going to be there Saturday night when the Habs entertain Toronto. At least I would start him in that case. So Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers gets in on Sam Montembeault in the crease area. He actually prevents Sam Montembeault from getting back into position. Sam Reinhart is Johnny on the spot. He scores the goal. The floodgates open. Martin St. Louis, like any sharp manager, any sharp coach who's paying attention, would say, well, shit, there's no way that's going to be a goal. Boom, challenge time. Boom, they do it. They go to the war room in Toronto. What happens? Goal stands. No goaltender interference. As a matter of fact, the Montreal Canadiens get called for delay of game. Boom, Florida scores. That, my friends, encapsulates what I thought was the TSN turning point in the 6-2 loss. And I gotta tell you, I'm feeling a bit feisty today. I'm feeling a bit feisty for a variety of reasons. Primarily because I screwed up. I really did. I'm 44 years old. I have a lot of experience with personal hygiene, just like you do. And for whatever reason this morning, I got out of the shower, at least I showered, got out of the shower, did my usual nonsense. I flossed, I brushed my teeth, got my hair ready, got my coffee ready, got the breakfast packed, and boom, I was out the door. With one caveat, I forgot to put deodorant on this morning. Why? How? I don't know. I do it every day. It's part of my routine. Well, I forgot today, and at one point in the 9 o'clock hour, I moved from one side of my office desk to the other side of my office desk, and I got a whiff of myself. I'm like, holy shit, you stink today, brother. How in the hell did you forget to put deodorant on? So I feel a bit damp under my armpits. My skin is crawling. I feel like I got to jump back in the shower to resolve this issue. So that, in a way, explains my feisty attitude today. And then I read the Journal de Montreal, and I'm going to talk about how disgusting that scumbag media outlet is and continues to be, with the headline gracing the cover of the Journal de Montreal with a picture of PK Subban, loin de la 10 millions dollars. That's their headline, and it's a bullshit headline. We're going to talk about that later in this podcast. But to take it back to the feistiness, what drives me up the wall, listen, you're an NHL referee. You're a Major League Baseball umpire. You get to the highest level of your profession at the highest level imaginable. You get there, why? Not because you know somebody, not because you're well connected. You get there because you have the ability to make the bang-bang calls right 99% of the time, or at least 95% of the time. You get the bang-bang call right. Like, I'm an idiot. I can tell a guy's out by a country mile if I'm the first base umpire. But when it comes to ball hits mitt at the same time the foot hits the bag, man, oh man. You know, these umpires, you get to that level because you get the bang-bang play right. How in the hell the National Hockey League officials don't realize what goaltender interference is. I mean, it's clearly written in English in the rule book. Just apply the letter of the law to the rule, and we're not going to have this argument. And so what do? They call it's a goal. They go to the war room in Toronto. They look at the footage and they say, you know what? That's a goal too. I mean, what am I watching here? What am I watching here? Stop managing games. Stop managing games. And I honestly think Martin St. Louis, in the aftermath of that 6-2 drubbing at the hands of the Florida Panthers, where they scored 4 times on the power play, mind you, the Montreal Canadiens, after last night's game, have the 26th worst PK unit at 73%. They're 31st ranked in the power play. Only Columbus is worse than the Canadiens with man advantage. So can you imagine how much pressure and stress that puts on all the other areas of the Canadiens, knowing that your special teams are dog bleep? And what happens? Martin St. Louis made his first major mistake as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. And you know what that mistake was? He's not talking and he's not behaving like I am. He wasn't feisty. He did not, nor did his players, Joel Edmondson and others, take the bait by the Montreal contingent that was there watching that game and were asking the questions to the players and to the coach after the 6-2 loss. They didn't take the bait. Mike Sullivan of the Penguins took the bait earlier this week. Paul Maurice of the Winnipeg Jets took the bait earlier this week, right? The Florida Panthers lose to the Ottawa Senators this week. The Ottawa Senators scored 4 times on the power play. They went 4 for 9 this week on the man advantage and burned Florida for 4 power play goals. What happened? What happened? They go out, you read the riot act, and next thing you know, you get the benefit of the doubt. Martin St. Louis failed to get angry. And I honestly think, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not trying to be dramatic to make a point. I think the coach failed for the first time as the bench boss of the Montreal Canadiens. I wanted to see Martin St. Louis flip his lid. Now, you're not going to come to Montreal and you're not going to pull these rinky-dink antics. You're not going to try to pull a wool over our eyes and tell us it's a sunny day outside. I mean, the National Hockey League, I hate to say it because I love the game so much. Sometimes the NHL, man, is just a bush league. And they just get it wrong. And these rinky-dink decisions that are made, and can you imagine if the Montreal Canadiens, they were fighting for a playoff spot? What if that's the difference between the first wild card or third place in the Atlantic Division? What if that was the difference? What if that was the difference? That's a problem. So let's get ahead of the problem before it really becomes a major issue, because the referees, man, they're bad. And I don't want to dump on the officials or anything else. That's why I wanted Martin St. Louis to go after them. What are they watching? What are they seeing? How do you call me for a delay a game? I mean, I understand that, Paul Maurice and Mike Sullivan, they're going to get fined $25,000. Who cares? It's like fining you $5,000, like fining you $5 because you littered outside. Yeah, don't be a litter bug, scumbag. But ultimately, the $25,000 fine, who cares? There was an opportunity there for Martin St. Louis to show the fact that even though he's a rookie coach, it doesn't matter. His credentials as a former player in the NHL are impeachable. I mean, so what are we doing here? What are we doing? This was an opportunity, I thought, for Martin St. Louis to read the riot act to the National Hockey League, to get their heads out the sand and to call it like they see it, because there's no way that Sam Reinhart goal should ever have stood in any game, in any league, across any area on this earth where they play hockey. But for whatever reason, the referees see it that way, and the war room sees it the same exact way. Can we stop interpreting the rule book? Throw the rule book out then. Just get rid of it. If we're going to have these interpretations or the just advice, listen, we'd love for you to kind of drive 75. But if you go 120, it's okay. That's an interpretation of a rule book. No. Apply the rule. And look, there's flexibility. I understand there's flexibility. You're going to go 105, 110 on the highway in a 100 zone, you're going to get it, right? But anything above that 115, kind of 120 threshold, man, you're going to get hammered. There's no interpretation there. Can we stop interpreting the rule book? Let's call it, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm at the point where I'm ready to go back to the mid to late 1990s, the infamous Brett Hull, Tolan, the crease, Buffalo Sabres, Dallas Stars, infamous goal. I'm ready to go back there. Don't let anybody in the blue paint ever. You want to go double IHF, international hockey rules? Nobody goes in the paint. That's the goalie's real estate. That's his home. You're not allowed there, because I have had it up to here. And maybe it's because I love hockey so much that I'm tired of seeing it embarrassed. I'm tired of seeing the interpretation and the management, or the fact that referees go into a game with a set bias against players or coaches or an organization or a city. Everybody's human. Je comprends. We all have certain little quirks about us. I get it. Human nature is human nature. I'm not here to argue for robo-refs. I really am not. But I am sick and tired of this league sometimes coming across as Bush League, and that because maybe they didn't like Martin St. Louis, or they don't like the Montreal Canadiens, or Arbor Jacki was disrespectful and said something he shouldn't have, so let's hammer this team and let's go against them. I mean, it forces people to go into conspiracy theories. It forces them down this ugly path, right, where there's someone larger at play that is pulling all the strings, because that's what a conspiracy theory is, right? We believe there's someone larger observing what's going on, and they make all the moves, and we react to that, because that's what's happening with this interpretation of a rule book. Let's stop interpreting the rules and let's just apply them, because that, my friends, was crap last night. Full stop. And the referees had a part in playing in that game. And that's the worst thing you could do as a referee. As a referee, you're supposed to be more or less invisible. You're not supposed to be a part of the game. You're certainly not supposed to be the story of the game. And that's what happened last night. But look, it wasn't all warts. It wasn't all ugly. As a matter of fact, I think there was a silver lining to this Canadiens 6-2 loss at the hands of the Florida Panthers. And I'm going to tell you what that was. You know what that was? It was the 3 fights. That's what it was for me. It was Mike Matheson dropping the gloves, Mike Pezzetta dropping the gloves, Arbor Jacki fighting. That, to me, is team toughness. For me, that is team togetherness. And I'm going to come at you from an angle of the Boston Bruins. When the Boston Bruins won their last Stanley Cup and they beat the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7 of overtime in the first round and ultimately went the distance and won their cup. You know what I loved about that team? You know what I loved about the Bruins? And that if I could take something from that team, other than their star talent, obviously, if I can take one of those intangibles and apply it to Montreal, you know what I would do? I would take that team toughness mentality from Sean Thornton to Gregory Campbell, Chris Kelly, all of those guys. I would take that team toughness dynamic, and I would take that from Boston and apply it to this team. And I think I saw some of that yesterday. You know, Martin St. Louis loves to talk about the pride, the pack mentality. That's what a pack mentality does. We're all in it together. You look at my guy sideways. You come at my guy with your stinky breath and you breathe on him. We're going to kick your ass up and down this rink. That's what I like. And I think the Montreal Canadiens, that's a learned skill. You know, that shows you the fabric that can hold this team together will be strong. And so I'm a believer in building foundational pieces. I think the Canadiens have foundational pieces with their captain, with Cole Caufield, with Caden Gooley. I think there are strong foundational pieces. But you need more than that in a team sport to take you to the promised land. And when everybody is subscribing to the same message that we all stick up for each other no matter what, no matter when, no matter against who, that is a learned skill. And you learn that by getting reps in. And so, yes, the Montreal Canadiens got blown out thanks to the referees and the botch job they did at the Bell Center last night. But that third period where we got 3 fights, it was a throwback to the Rock'em Sock'em days. That, to me, was a silver lining that I choose to take away from that game yesterday, as it complements this team. That no matter the scoreline, they're here for each other, and they're going to stick up for one another no matter what the set of circumstances are inside a game. And that, to me, falls on the lap of Martin St. Louis, his strong relatability, the message and the communication that the coach gives to his players game in and game out. That was a takeaway for me. I thought Cole Caufield had a good game. Jesse Ulonen also showed his ability with good vision, good defensive player, makes smart moves with the puck. Room to grow for sure, but again, reasons to be optimistic as a Canadiens fan that you're not getting all these janky prospects that are just overblown and overvalued. That's not what's happening here. Jan Tan, welcome to the pod. Good to see you, my man. If Martin St. Louis complains, he's going to get a fine and not get the calls in the future. It sucks because you can't compete that way. I don't know if that is necessarily true, and I honestly don't think that Martin St. Louis ultimately cares about the monetary fine. That's just my interpretation. That's just my opinion. And I think Martin St. Louis, I choose to believe, and I could be dead wrong here, even though he is a quote-unquote rookie head coach, I still think Martin St. Louis' credibility as a Hall of Fame player, as a Stanley Cup champ, takes him a long way. Like, I think there's a big difference there from a rookie head coach that comes up through juniors and, well, the referees, they're going to put this guy in his place. Welcome to the NHL. This is how it works here, son. Martin St. Louis had a very long, fruitful career in the National Hockey League. His reputation as a player should be intact, and I don't think that should change because he's now a rookie head coach, so there's a new set of circumstances. And now he has to be broken in by the referees in the league before he learns the ways and gets the benefit of the call. Like, this is not Brendan Gallagher in his first 2-3 seasons in the NHL. This is Hall of Famer. This is Stanley Cup champ. This is Hart Trophy winning Martin St. Louis. If it goes any other way that they're trying to break this guy in, man, it just reinforces my point that this league is in big trouble, and I don't think it'll ever get out of the niche category. Did y'all see the cover of the Journal de Montréal today? The Journal de Montréal, with a picture of PK Subban. PK, loin de le 10 millions $10. Now, remember this story, right? The PK Subban, back when he was a Montreal Canadien, pledged to raise $10 million for the Montreal Children's Hospital. Now, some people at the time took that as PK is going to donate $10 million. Comprehension is a learned skill. PK never said he was going to donate $10 million. I believe PK actually donated $1 million of his own dollars, but PK Subban pledged to raise $10 million. Anybody in the class today want to put their hands up and tell me what's happened in the world in the last 2 or 3 years? Right. Congratulations. You are correct, class. It was the pandemic. COVID-19 came. Our world stopped, did it not? Multiple times? Is it also beyond the scope of comprehension for the Journal de Montréal to dig in and realize what's going on? Anyone want to ask what Pierre-Carl Pelledo or any of the executives at Quebecor Media, what they've raised or what they've pledged to raise for sick children, whether it's a Saint-Justin Hospital or the Montreal Children's or any other hospital, as a matter of fact? Anyone want to talk about what other athletes from this province have pledged to do? PK Subban's from Toronto. PK came here from Toronto to do this. And the Journal de Montréal has the gall to call PK Subban out for not raising $10 million yet? Well, guess what? PK Subban has raised $6.3 million of the $10 million he pledged to help for this children's hospital, according to his foundation and the announcement they made yesterday. You know, the original promise was $10 million by 2022. The pandemic had major reasons as to why that pledge has yet to be filled, and they're more than halfway there. And now the target has been moved from 2022 to 2025. And also considering this partnership will be a long one, beyond just the $10 million $10 million pledge to raise for this children. So not only has PK inspired companies and people to donate and to get off their wallets, and the Journal de Montréal in our community, about a player who's from Toronto and hasn't been here in a minute, they have the gall to put this guy's face on their cover of the newspaper and criticize him because he hasn't fulfilled his $10 million pledge by 2022. They're a nauseating, deserve no time, and here I am giving them all this time. But they need to be called out. And don't be afraid to call them out. You know, you want things to change, you're not going to stand for this stuff. You know, it's beyond disrespectful. Beyond disrespectful. And listen, you know, it's part of the reason, you know, like, oh, fine, I work for Bell Media. I don't work for Quebecor. As a matter of fact, I have zero desire to ever work for Quebecor. You know, separatist politics, trying to get a team in the NHL, get out of here. You don't want to be a part of Canada, then guess what? You don't get an NHL team either. So stick to your sensational journalism. Stick to your hate-filled journalism where you love to rile up the community and pit people against each other as opposed to bring them together. Out here criticizing PK Subban. Foundation has raised $6.3 million, and now you're telling he hasn't raised $10 million. Get out of here. What have you done? Put your resume on the table. Put your pledges on the table. Big talkers, huh? Just, it drives me up the wall. And I tell you, I'm feisty today. I didn't put any deodorant on. I feel gross. Jantan, what up? It's Ragenomics, clickbait to get people to read the article. It sucks. I need to ignore the article and not give the attention and ad money. Fair point. But as I said, I'm a believer that, and maybe it's the old school guy in me, like, I don't believe that you're allowed to run your mouth willy-nilly and not face any consequence. Like, you don't get to just say stuff and it goes over people's heads or they gloss over it. Like, if it really bothers you, call them out. Like, you don't have to read the article. Like, the article and the headline is true, but it's also erroneous at the same time. No, il est loin de le 10 millions. Okay, fine. So he's almost $4 million off, right? But to put it in a sensationalistic way, to make it an area of criticism, and you choose to put it that way, not that he helped raise 6.3 million. It's the il est loin de le 10 millions, to create this illusion that of the 10 million pledge to raise for the Children's Hospital, he's only at $1 million, but it's sensationalism. To Jantan's point, yes, fine. It is clickbaity, but let's call it out. Let's hold these people accountable, especially in our community that affects our children, the next generation of Montrealers and Quebecers. John, what up, John? Garbage reporters. Not all of them. I just think it's a tabloid publication. There's fine people that work there and earn a living and have good careers. I'm not talking about Mathieu Bloc-Côté, the master of dividing people. But that's what they do. And I'm not shy to call it out. It is what it is in this market. And like I said, if you're going to write stuff and you're going to stand by it and everything else, then be prepared for the backlash. Put your resumes up, put your pledges, put those tax receipts on the board. Let's see them. A guy from Toronto is raising $10 million, and he's more than halfway there for Montreal children. And you're calling this guy out. Man, oh, man, oh, man. It's unbelievable, right? Man, I tell you what, if the Journal de Montréal needs to get out of here, I got the perfect business to make it happen. AccentGroup.com, the leader, one of Canada's largest intermodal transportation services. Check them out at AccentGroup.com. Call them for all your transportation needs, and they have the assets to get your freight to its destination the best way possible. I don't partner with janky people. I partner with people I trust with my money, with my inventory, and you can trust me when I tell you that you can use AccentGroup.com, whether it's to move your freight cross-border or domestically, whether you need long or short-term storage. AccentGroup.com is a locally owned and operated group based out of the South Shore. More information online, AccentGroup.com. Call them 888-99-ACCENT. It was interesting to note this morning that Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider Darren Dreger, talking about Cole Caufield, right? The fact that the contract negotiations, as we know from Ken Hughes' midseason press conference, are underway. And I don't know what y'all think the number is going to be for Cole Caufield. Darren Dreger specifically telling us, and look, it's not no earth-shattering revelation here that 7 years times $7 million per season is not going to get it done. I never, ever for a second thought a $7 million annual salary of Cole Caufield would ever get it done. I'm starting to think with the salary cap moving up and the fact that you got to put a premium price on goal scoring, and the fact that in an 82-game sample size, Cole Caufield has scored 48 goals. I'm starting to think the annual average salary for Cole Caufield might be close to $10 million per season, my friends. Like, if I'm Cole Caufield's agent representing my client and I'm going to Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon and we're having a serious dialogue about how much money my client is worth, I am going to bring up the fact that nobody in Montreal in the better part of 35 years scores goals at the rate that my client does. And that nobody since the 1990 has scored 50 goals for the Montreal Canadiens. Hello, Stefan Ricci. My client is damn close to that number, and I'm confident my client will get to 50 goals and be the next guy to score 50 for the Montreal Canadiens. And you're going to pay for that. And you got to put a price on goals, man. And Cole Caufield, not only does he bring the goals, he brings the excitement. He moves jerseys. He gets people talking. He gets people out of their seats. And my friends, you pay. And you're going to pay for that. And so I'm starting to think a little bit more along the lines of Cole Caufield, 8 years, $8 million per $64 million contract. I don't know. I don't think it comes below 8, certainly. I don't think we're talking high 7s. I think if a contract gets done in a long term, we're not talking bridge. I'm talking a long-term deal, that 7 to 8 year long-term deal. And then I don't see the number being anywhere lower than 8, and I'd be shocked if it's in the 8s. I'd be shocked. You pay for goals in this league, and man, you're going to pay through the nose for a goal scorer in Montreal, where we haven't seen the likes of a 50-goal scorer again since 1990, okay? So let's see. It's going to be a fun little ride. Let's go Niners. Costa, Ticani Sere Costa. He's getting $9 million since then. Yeah, maybe you're right, and I'm inclined to think that yes, if a long-term contract with Cole Caufield, I expect the number to start with 9. Would I be shocked if it's $10 million per? Like, would you walk away? You're not going to walk away. You're going to bridge him at the worst case scenario, right? Like, if Cole Caufield says, I want $70 million, you're going to walk away from that deal? Does he want $10 million over 7 years? You're going to walk away from that deal? I'm going to give him $10 million. John, nothing but love for PK. He made the egregious mistake of being flashy, helping sick kids, and raising a ton of money. Back to the Journal de Montréal's headline, PK loin de le $10 million when he's COVID-19 put an obstacle up, and they've raised $6.3 million of the $10 million, and they've moved the goal to 2025 now to help raise all that money. The comments are flying in left, right, and center. How does the talent Cole Caufield not in the All-Star game is ridiculous? I would say they need to sign him for at least $9 to $9.5 million. Actually, you get it done. Thanks for the comments. Cap is going to 90 to 95. You take the deal and lock him up. Absolutely. And you got to think it's not just beyond this year, right? Like projections. Ellen Keefe. Ellen, thanks for the comment. Sean, what do you what do you think about the non-call on Arbor getting hit in the numbers and Kirby almost getting his knees blown out? Absolutely. I mean, I didn't even talk about that. I didn't even talk about the Mike Matheson running Eric Stahl early in this hockey game yesterday. Eric Stahl may be concussed, left the game in the aftermath. That was a no call. Kirby Doc getting cheap shots. Arbor Jackeye getting run. Nothing happening there. Like, it was a bad night at the office for the NHL referees. And like I said, we're all human. And I'm not here to lobby for robo refs in the NHL. Human nature plays a strong element in all major sports. And I'm okay with that. I get it. But what really almost puts me on tilt is the war room. They make the call on the ice, boom, bang, bang, play, hockey super fast. I get nobody's perfect. Human element again. But then they go to the war room with the ability to slow it all down. And they come back with the same result. And then the Canadiens get called for a delay of game. I mean, Madonna mia. What do you do with that? What do you look? I'm getting red in the face just thinking about it. They drive me bananas. How inconsistent this league. And I don't even play in the league. Shit, can you imagine you're a player in the NHL and you don't know on any given night? Like, either be horse bleep bad for 60 minutes or be great. Don't be in the middle. Don't let Kirby Doc all these infractions against Arbor Jackeye or Kirby Doc, anybody else, and then you start to call rinky-dink stink infractions, holding, high sticking, yada yada yada. It was full stop just a bad night at the office. But then the war room in Toronto, where they have the luxury of time and instant replay and slowing everything down frame by frame, yada yada, and they still kick it around like they don't know their arse from their elbow. It's infuriating, Ellen. It's infuriating. Zen, what up? Caufield's deal will make Suzuki deal look fantastic. That's for sure. What do you mean by that? Do you mean that Nick Suzuki? Because for me, it comes down to dollar per performance. Like, do you think that Suzuki's deal will make the Canadiens look great because the performance he's going to get for the dollars earned is going to flatter the Montreal Canadiens? Like, I think Cole Caufield, like, I don't know how else to put it. The Montreal Canadiens for 33 years haven't had anybody that scores goals like Cole Caufield. And maybe they haven't had anybody that scores goals and gets people out of their seats since Guy Bleepin Lafleur. You know what I mean? Like, and if I'm Cole Caufield's agent, all of that works to my client's benefit, right? Like, again, my entire life, the heartbeat, the face of the Montreal Canadiens has been a goaltender. From Patrick Waugh all the way up to Carey Price and everybody in between, with the exception of David Abisher. Nobody cheered for David Abisher. So if I'm Cole Caufield's agent, man, I am going to absolutely use all of that to my client's benefit. And I really do think, man, we're talking that at least $9 million. John Canadiens back. No one at the Toronto War Room helps a Montreal call over. Out of 100, we might get 3 that go our way. Ellen, Anderson was a little quiet last night. Why didn't he drop the gloves? I thought he was a big, tough guy. Unbelievable. To my earlier point, Mike Matheson, Arbor Jack Guy, Michael Pizzetta, 3 guys that fought in the third period for the Canadiens. I love team toughness. I like the fact that the Canadiens were getting their asses kicked on the scoreboard. That didn't change the fact that they stick up for each other and they hold each other accountable. That, to me, is how you grow. That, to me, is how you become a contending team, because you're in it to win it no matter what. And I really like that aspect in a game that the Montreal Canadiens got squashed in 6-2 at the hands of the visiting Florida Panthers. Montreal back in action tomorrow night against the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs on what should be a jam-packed weekend across the sports landscape. Obviously, you got the Laval Rocket playing tonight. They got the Hershey Bears on TSN 690. Then Laval plays the Marlies tomorrow afternoon on TSN 690, and that takes us into the Canadiens Leafs game. And I don't know. Listen, fine. I'll tell you. I'll be honest. Are you ready for honest, Sean? I always try to be honest. Like I told you, I didn't put deodorant on today. I feel stinky. I don't feel. I am stinky. And sometimes I'm too honest. I'm going to be honest again. The New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles are playing Saturday night at 8:15. As soon as kickoff starts, I will not go back to the hockey game. I will watch football from start to finish. You know, the Montreal Canadiens, breaking news, everybody. The Canadiens are not going to make the playoffs. Breaking news, the Canadiens are not going to make the playoffs. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to watch a meaningless Habs-Leafs game over a Giants-Eagles game in the divisional round of the playoffs with the winner going to the NFC title game. Come on. Let's get serious. So let's quickly, we're over 31 minutes here. Madonna mia. The text coming in. Unrelated. If Montreal has to do an emergency prospect call-up from the CHL, who do you call? Jonathan Roy, Owen Beck, Philip Meshar, Riley Kidney. Good question. Might be Beck. I think the answer is Beck. And the Canadiens will be allowed to do that because I think they are in the emergency call-up category based on the surplus of injuries they have. And I think Owen Beck is the guy that I've heard would probably be first on the call-up list, Zen. So I hope that answers your question. Into the NFL divisional round this weekend, Jacksonville gets us going. They're at Kansas City Saturday afternoon. That game starts at 4:30. You've got the Jags as 9-point dogs, a total of over under 52.5. Ultimately, I do think that Jacksonville is going to be able to put some points on the board against Kansas City's defense. But Kansas City is going to feast. I think if there's a favorite that easily covers, it might be the Kansas City Chiefs, though I don't think they are going to cover that number. As we know, Andy Reid is the master off the bye week. In 25 years of coaching, he's 28-5 off the bye. He's actually even better when Patrick Mahomes is a QB off the bye week. Mahomes and Reid are 9-1 together. But ultimately, I'm always a bit cautious of the backdoor cover, and I think there might be a garbage time touchdown somewhere in there. And we're putting some faith in Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to have the magic, and Travis Etienne is going to be able to move the ball. And the Kansas City secondary isn't known for its shutdown ability, so I think points are going to be scored. And know this, right? And I wasn't aware of this until I was digging in and breaking down these games, that when it comes to Jacksonville secondary, which again is bad, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to feast here. We know that the Jags secondary isn't great, and tight ends have absolutely torched Jacksonville all season. They've given up almost 1,100 yards to tight ends this season. So if you like Travis Kelce, and he's pretty good. Oh, yeah, he's also a tight end for KC. You might want to look at some of those props and go over there. So give me Jacksonville +9. I think if we're looking at upsets this weekend, the New York Giants might be the team. So it's meeting number 3 of the season so far, and it hasn't been close. The Eagles have actually outscored New York in 2 games, 70-38. And everything on paper about Philadelphia, to me, is much better than anything the Giants have if we go to it man-to-man on paper. But do you trust the Eagles to cover the 7.5 points? They lost to Dallas in Week 16, followed that up with another loss in Week 17 to New Orleans, and then they had a 19-3 fourth-quarter lead in Week 18. and that was a 22-16 win over the Giants. So if you're keeping score at home, 3 straight weeks, 3 straight kind of subpar games, Jalen Hurts will have played 1 game in a month. The New York Giants, I think the way they approach this game is from a very fundamental throwback, pound and ground style game. And I think Saquon is a very confrontational runner. He looks very determined. So I'm going to call it. Let's go for the upset. Give me the Giants to win. Obviously, Giants plus 7.5. If you don't want to have the full confidence of putting them as a straight up money line play. So Giants plus 7.5, and I do like the under 48 in that game. If the Giants are going to pull off the upset, it's going to be because it's going to be a low scoring game. The game of the weekend is Cincinnati and Buffalo. I honestly think that DeMar Hamlin is going to make an appearance, whether it's Jumbotron or in person, because we're just shy of 3 weeks since Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest on the field in Cincinnati. And so here these two teams are. Joe Burrow, for what it's worth, is 9-1 versus teams outside of his division, and 4-3 against teams inside the AFC North. You know what that tells me? It tells me that teams that kind of know Joe Burrow know how to handle him. Teams that don't know Joe Burrow well enough, even though they'll study plenty of tape about him, have a hard time. So when it comes to trust factor, I'm here to tell you that I'm going to trust Joe Burrow more than I am Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Why? Because I think Josh Allen, and we saw it last week with his 2 costly interceptions, know this about Josh Allen and the Bills offense. They've committed 22 turnovers this season. Josh Allen has been picked off 16 times, and he's fumbled 6 times. And so that led the league by a margin. Not only does Joe Burrow turn the ball over less, he's also better than Allen in the fourth quarter. His completion percentage in the fourth quarter is above 70% this year, with 11 touchdowns and just 2 INTs. Allen, 58% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns to 4 INTs. I trust Joe Burrow more. Bengals plus 5.5. Upset number 2. Bengals go to Buffalo and beat the Bills. And lastly, it's the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. That's the later game Sunday at 6:30. This might be the last team to own the ball wins the game. Therefore, I'm going to take the 4 points that we're getting with the Dallas Cowboys. I like the San Francisco 49ers to win this game. And we also have a total of 46.5 points in this game. 2 good defenses, but also a fun little fact here that when we look at both rosters and what they've done since week 7, both Dallas and San Francisco have been the 2 highest scoring teams in the league. So does defense prevail? Do we see points on the board? Yes, I think we see points on the board. Let's go. Let's cheer for points and give me Dallas and the 4. So there you go. Some of my best bets for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Hope you took a pen and paper down because I'm not going to repeat them. John Mayer, haven't heard you mention it before. Do you have a favorite team in the NFL? I certainly do. I certainly do. I am a proud member, John Mayer, of the Chicago Bears Nation, the Monsters of the Midway, the team that has the number 1 pick in the NFL entry draft this April. So yes, asked and answered, Johnny boy. And don't forget, like John, if you have any questions you want me to answer, you can always slide into my email inbox. That's inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. And I get those emails. I read those emails. And if it's worthy of a reply, I will reply. And if it's worthy of me bringing it up here, I will bring it up. And as a matter of fact, I don't know what you're all doing this weekend, but maybe make a pit stop at Ash Gregoire Chambon Nissan, 4299 Autoroute 440 West in Laval. They're open on Saturdays. Quebec's biggest Nissan dealership, the best Nissan dealership in the province of Quebec. Over 200 cars in their lot, over 1,000 in the group. You can slide into your dream Nissan today, and nobody gives you a better deal than my friends at Ash Gregoire Chambon Nissan. You tell them In the Car with Star sent you, and you will go home happy. That, my friends, is a promise, okay? And of course, our proud sponsors at Axon and AxonGroup.com, one of Canada's largest intermodal transportation providers. So you're shipping across the country, you're shipping down south, crossing the border. Axon has the knowledge and the assets to get your freight, and that's what it's all about, right? Your precious cargo may not be precious to me, but if you're moving it, it's precious to you, and nobody understands that more than Axon, AxonGroup.com. So they have all the assets to get your valuable goods from point A to point B on time and on budget with a trusted transportation provider like AxonGroup.com. Call them now, 888-99-AXON, or check them out online at AxonGroup.com. Steph Howard, I think Jacksonville takes it. We have another Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, Mr. Waffle House himself, Sean, do you trade Fields and take a quarterback with the first? Absolutely not. I'm a believer in Justin Fields. Ryan Poles has close to $180 million in cap space. I believe he has a franchise quarterback that he can help sell to playmaking targets that can help make this a more well-rounded team. I am not trading Justin Fields. I am trading the first-round pick. I'm doing everything in my power to make this a bidding war. John Mayer, ouch, dude. I'm a Packer season ticket. John, how do I block John Mayer off this podcast? I'm kidding, buddy. Packer Nation represented. What do you think is going to happen with your boy Aaron Rodgers, John? Where will Aaron Rodgers quarterback next season? Is it A, Green Bay, B, another NFL team, or C, no more football for Aaron Rodgers? That's so cool. I have a buddy of mine, Bob Cooper. He's a New York Giants season ticket holder and has been for forever. I love that. I love that about the NFL, man. It's so cool that we have Montrealers. Like I remember former Canadiens coach Jacques Demers. Jacques Demers was an Indianapolis Colts season ticket holder. My friend Ben Raby, who I used to work with, he now works for the Washington Capitals. I think his family also had season tickets to the Green Bay Packers. I love that stuff. I love the connection we have to the NFL football brand in La Belle Province. So thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for all your comments and your engagement. I thought this was a good one today. Very long, nevertheless, but I thought it was good. Good comments. Thanks for all your participation. Don't forget, like and subscribe. You can support me by supporting all my sponsors, accentgroup.com, K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur, where you get your premium fuel this weekend and all your snacks to enjoy the Habs, the Rocket, and the NFL. They're on Highway 138 right in Ganawage. Tell them In the Car with Star sent you. Premium fuel 24 hours a day at discount prices only at K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later this weekend, my friends. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Thank you.